morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in this world. My name is Maurizio Benazzo.
My name is Zaya Benazzo.
We are here speaking with you from the unceded territory of the coastal Miwok and the South Pomo. Colonial name of this area is now Sebastopol, California.
We're also the co-directors of the film Where Olive Trees Weep, which I hope that many of you already had a chance to see it. And if you haven't, we invite you to watch it. The film is available for another 20 days online, and please watch it with your community, with your friends, share it as widely as possible. And together with the film, we're offering also these conversations on a daily basis. And this is day 4 conversation, and we're delighted to have with us beloved teachers from different traditions that we have been following over the years, and they have been influencing us personally on our own journey. So One Human Family, Interfaith Solidarity with Palestine. This is the name of our conversation today. Mm-hmm. And Maurizio will introduce briefly our guest.
So let's start with the Rabbi Lynn Gottlieb. Lynn Gottlieb is one of the first women to become a rabbi in Jewish history, a pioneer Jewish feminist, human rights activist, writer, visual artist, ceremonialist, community educator, and master storyteller in Albuquerque, New Mexico. She engaged in multi-faith, intergenerational, and multicultural organizing, solidarity with racial, indigenous, gender justice, and Palestinian liberation struggles. Lynn sits on the Rabbinic Council of Jewish Voice for Peace and is a board chair of Interfaith Movement for Human Integrity. Rabbi Lynn is the author of several books and a practitioner of the Torah of Nonviolence. Thank you, Rabbi.
Welcome, Rabbi Lynn, and thank you for bringing your beautiful art behind you. I could feel it transmits, your art transmits, and I can feel it.
Then Tenzin Wangyal Rinpoche, Geshe Tenzin Wangyal Rinpoche, founder of the Ligmincha International, is a rare master of the Bon Dzogchen tradition in the West. He established Ligmincha in 1992 to preserve and introduce Tibetan Bon Buddhist teachings to the West. Rinpoche is beloved for his clear, insightful teaching style that makes Tibetan practices accessible. Author of 10 books, Rinpoche shares the profound wisdom of Bon Dzogchen.
Welcome.
Thank you very much, Tenzin. Nice to see you again. Then we have Reverend Deborah Lee. Reverend Deborah Lee, Executive Director of the Interfaith Movement for Human Integrity since 2018, brings over 30 years of experience in faith-based social justice. Her expertise spans popular education, community organizing, and advocacy, focusing on issues like race, gender, economic justice, LGBTQ inclusion, and immigrant rights. Reverend Lee envisioned a world without harm, where every person is considered sacred across bars and borders. Nice to have you with us. Welcome, Deborah. And then we have Pirzia Inayat Khan, PhD. Pirzia Inayat Khan is a scholar of religion and teacher of Sufism in the universalist Sufi lineage of his grandfather, Hazrat Inayat Khan. Pirzia is founder of Suluk Academy, a school of Sufi contemplative study and practice. Author of several books and the editor of Caravan of Souls, an introduction to the Sufi path, Pirzia divides his time between Richmond, Virginia, and Surens in France. Nice to have you with us, Pirzia.
Thank you for being here. Maybe we can begin if you feel inspired to share a prayer or any kind of offering, and you don't have to if it feels appropriate at this moment. Rabbi Lynn, would you like to?
Yes. I would very much like to. First of all, it's wonderful to be able to pray with souls who are desiring peace. This is a prayer for peace from the Hasidic lineage of one of the best storytellers in Jewish life, named Rabbi Nachman of Bratslav, who is the great grandson of the Baal Shem Tov. After coming back from the Napoleonic War, he wrote this prayer. May it be the will of the loving presence in our lives and the lives of our ancestors that we erase war and bloodshed from the world, and in its place practice peace, so that nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. Rather, may we all cling tightly to the midah, the quality of peace. Let there be a truly great peace among every person and their fellow human beings. And let there be no discord among people, even in their hearts. May we recognize and deeply know this great truth. We have not come into this world for strife and division, nor for hatred and rage, nor provocation and bloodshed. We have come here only to encounter loving presence and the wellspring of eternal blessings. As it is written in the Torah, I shall place peace upon the earth, and you shall lie down safe and undisturbed, and I shall banish armed conflict from the earth, and the sword shall not pass through your land. Loving presence, who is Shalom, bless us with peace. May these words inspire us to act with all our heart, soul, and material might to stop the genocide that is occurring in Palestine, in Sudan, and around the world. Today, we reflect on Palestine. May Palestine be delivered unto peace quickly in our day.
Thank you. Thank you, Rabbi Lynn.
You're
Yes,
muted.
Deborah. Rev. Deborah.
Okay.
Oh,
Oh,
I
okay.
think, yes.
Okay. Thank you. So I wanted to say thank you, everybody, and wonderful to be here. And this prayer that I am going to sing, it's actually not words, not asking something, but this is like a syllable, what we call very ancient syllable mantra of Ah, Om, Hum, which means uh, unconditional openness, that I think which is something very much we lack all, and unbiased love, and then very dynamic service that it's very flexible. Om, Hum. This is, I think, these three basic simple quality which we are missing in the world. I think all these things happening just because of these three principles. So I'm going to sing this. I would like everybody just to feel that uh, unconditional space, unbiased love, dynamic service. Thank you.
Thank you. Reverend Deborah?
Yeah. I offer this prayer in response to the news reports I read this morning about the massacre in the Nusayrat refugee camp in central Gaza, where over 275 people were killed for the liberation of 4 hostages. Encourage people to read the account by the Al Jazeera journalist Maram Humaid, who describes what it was like to live in the depths of hell in the midst of that attack, shelling, bombing, the relentless barrage that they lived under. I'll just read the last bit of her piece, and then I'll go into a prayer adapted from a sermon of Jesus from Matthew 5. The journalist Maram Humaid writes, "Every night after each massacre, I retreat to my mattress in our overcrowded home of displaced people. I hold my son tight and I implore God to envelop us in his mercy, to spare us further grief. We lament to you, O Lord, the world's betrayal, our brothers and sisters' silence, and our allies' pressure against us. We will not forgive. We will not forget. When will the world see us? God have mercy." From the words of Jesus, blessed are those who are grieving. May they be comforted. Blessed are the oppressed, for their dignity and suffering is seen by God. Blessed are those who are hopeless and powerless, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are those who show mercy, for they will see the face of God. Blessed are those who can remain kind, for they lay the path for a new world. Blessed are those who are attacked because they speak the truth, for they illuminate the path to justice. Blessed are those who insist on the way of love and make peace, for theirs is kinship with all that is holy. May this be our prayer today. Amen.
Dear Zaya.
Beloved liege, most merciful and compassionate, light life and love without beginning or end. By the vision of Jibrail and the chivalry of Mikhail. By the gentle touch of Azrael and the ringing call of Israfil. By the sun and the moon and the earth. By Melchizedek. By Abraham, Sarah, and Hagar. By Ismail and Isaac. By Moses. By Jesus. By Muhammad. We ask you, from the Jordan River to the White Sea, succor the beleaguered, the wounded, and the hungry. Console the bereaved. Repatriate the Nakbas dispossessed. Revivify the olive orchards. Let peace prevail. Let justice flourish. And give all people to see in each other your own holy reflection, the living image of inviolable beauty. Amen.
Okay, to continue.
You talk.
Want to say something?
I just want to say that having the four of you together, having this conversation, it's one of, I don't know, it's hope.
It's hard to speak of hope in these dark times, but it does bring light.
Yeah, that I can't use words, sorry. But thank you, each and every one of you, for being here, because you represent tradition that we consider different. We consider, and there is this unifying layer of love that is pouring through you, through the world. And so I thank you for existing and for being here. Thank you.
In all of the spiritual traditions that you represent, there is the recognition of the essential unity of all life and the interconnectedness of all beings and the inherent dignity and equality of all beings. As a spiritual teachers and leaders, how do you understand the relationship between inner transformation and outer service? What does it mean to be of service in the face of injustice? And how we can stay grounded in love and compassion, and make prophetic actions and stands, so that can lead to a lasting change in Palestine, Israel, specifically, and in the world. But at this very moment, we turn towards Gaza, towards Palestine. This is what we are centering at this moment. Feel free to just unmute and begin, and we can just flow together and build on. Rabbi Lynn, I feel you're ready to share.
I believe that I always come back to the root story, that many root stories, that that propelled me on this path. One is witnessing and tending to the suffering of Holocaust survivors after the war. I'm 75, so I grew up just after, in the aftermath. And hearing countless stories of people who survived in a variety of ways. And always the message that I was given by my teachers at the time was never again means never again for anyone. So in the face of terrible loss and a profound loss, I mean, on a scale equivalent to what is happening in Palestine. And that drove me to be sent to Israel when I was 16, 17, and I recognized the oppression of Palestinians instantly from my experiences here in the United States on Turtle Island relating to African Americans and apartheid that was institutionalized here. And so I sought out Atala Mansour, a Palestinian journalist, and asked him to tell me his story, which he graciously did, but with a caveat that if I tell you my story, he said to me when I was 17, you will be accountable for my story, because I cannot tell you my story and re-traumatize myself by telling you my story if it falls into the abyss of vicarious, thinking that if because we hear something that absolves us from taking action. And so I took that to heart, and I knew that the story always is present on the front line of where people are suffering. And so I continued to go to Palestine and to, in all areas of struggle, learn the stories, tactics, wisdom, and needs of people who are directly impacted by suffering. And to me, that is why I am here, to relieve suffering by taking meaningful action to end war. And that, of course, is 10,000 things. The best part is being with other people who feel the same, like my friend and colleague Deborah, where we've been on many front lines together. We have yet to go to Palestine together. I hope we will sometime. There are front lines wherever we live. But for Palestine, I'm so grateful to be in community with people who are willing to take the risk, to struggle, to speak truth, to ask for reparations, to do what is necessary through the wisdom and beauty of our traditions, through nonviolence, which is a force more powerful to try with all our hearts to stop and transform this in ways that let peace blossom and suffering end. Inshallah.
Inshallah. You can just unmute yourself whenever you feel you would like to share.
I'm very moved to meet Rabbi Lynn, since her teacher was Reb Zalman. Actually, I honor Rabbi Lynn for the courage of her own example, first and foremost. And secondly, I'm moved to learn that she has been a student of Reb Zalman, who was a dear friend of my father's. my father was Pir Vilayat, and Reb Zalman made my father an honorary rabbi, and my father made Reb Zalman an honorary sheikh. And they had many conversations together, and sometimes very difficult conversations, including on the subject of Israel and Palestine. And I had the good fortune to be with both of them in the Sinai desert when there was a convocation on this subject. And when in the middle of the night we began walking up the mountain, Mount Sinai, as Reb Zalman sang sacred songs. And at the pinnacle, we were able to look out over the land and to pray for an enduring peace and justice. My father was heartbroken all of his life because he had seen the First World War. He had struggled in the First World War as a minesweeper, and his sister had volunteered for the most difficult assignment because of her great passion for confronting the scourge of Nazism. She became a radio operator undercover in Paris, transmitting for the resistance to the Allies. And she was captured and she was tortured for months in solitary confinement in Germany, chained to a wall, and then taken to Dachau. And her last word was liberté, freedom, as she was shot and thrown in the oven, the same oven in which millions of Jews were incinerated. Dachau is a terrible place. And the oven, I've been there, the oven in which so many martyrs were burned, shows all of the touches of fine craftsmanship. It's astounding to see how human ingenuity can go into the creation of weapons of utter destruction and degradation. My father bore this deep wound all of his life, and growing up, I absorbed his pain in some measure. And I remember conversations with him in which he described why he fought against the Nazis and what a dilemma it was, how he didn't want to engage in any kind of conflict, but how he was so deeply stricken by the realization of the terrible genocide that was unfolding, and felt compelled to act. And then, as I was growing up, he told me of what was happening in the Holy Land. And he was deeply concerned that an old pattern that he had witnessed in its most horrific manifestations was continuing. And he spoke to me, especially, he spoke to me of the dispossession of the people of the land, and of the cutting down of the olive trees. I remember one day, with tears in his eyes, he said, "They're destroying the olive orchards." And so when I learned of this film, I was, first of all, struck by the title, "Where the Olive Trees Weep." And I, as all of us here, or so many of us here did, we went and watched it. And I'm just so grateful to you, Maurizio and Zaya, Benazzo, for making this movie, for the penetrating gaze that it brings to our fragile human condition in the midst of such an unthinkable tragedy, and the courage of those who are profiled in the movie, those who have been, Ashira Darvish, who has been tortured and now is a bringer of joy. I was reminded of words of my grandfather, Hazrat Pir Moshe Inayat Khan, who said, the children of sorrow are the bringers of joy in this world. And that is what Ashira Darwish is doing. And that's what this film brings to us, the possibility of escaping the madness of these cycles of trauma and awakening to the real possibility of peace and justice right now. Your film is a crucial testimony, and I hope that many, many people will see it.
You.
Thank you for sharing the story of your Aunt Noor. When I read her story, she's such an example of what true selflessness and courage means, and how to stand in the face of injustice. And if it cost our life, that may it be.
Be it.
May that be. She's prime example of, and I wish more people would know her story. It was new to me. I didn't know till recently. Thank you for bringing her here in this field.